Hey Graham, how are you, mate?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Dude, it's great to have you on the podcast, and of course, we're all pretty damn excited that Pop Will Eat itself will be coming back down to Australia in March, and it's been a while since you guys have been down here, right?
It has, yeah. What is it, 3 years, I think? Something like that.
Yeah. I mean, what do you remember from that last tour?
It was just great to see that people were still interested in the band and, still had the energy. We're all a few years older and, it could have been a more sedate affair, if everyone was feeling their ages, but it seemed they weren't, and, it was really good to see. Everyone was banged up for it.
Because you guys still put on such a killer live show. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where people sort of place us as, what do you think about Pop Will Eat itself? And I think most people's reaction is, what a great live show.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
They must think shame about the records, but they're great live.
No. The records are great too, man. I mean, there's lots of people down here. I mean, Australia has for many years have had a love for you guys. I mean, you guys were always been pretty big down here.
Yeah, it was one of the places for us that had the best reactions. I mean, we did well at home and various places in the States and Australia, and those were sort of our key places.
And what about in regards to touring? I mean, what do you find is the biggest challenge compared to, say, hitting the road 20 years ago? I mean, is it easier these days?
It's a bit harder to catch our breath and stay fit. But no, once you get on the stage and you start rocking away, it all comes back, and you kind of just forget everything and live for the moment again, which is what it's all about.
From that time period, especially when you come down here, are there any bands that you've stayed in touch with? No,
I can't. Are you thinking of anyone in particular?
Not me, no. But I mean, I've spoken to a lot of bands, and sometimes they'll have in one certain area they'll have their friends that they've known for many, many years and kept in touch with or toured with. I mean, what about in other places? Is there any bands that you've sort of really kept that friendship over the years?
Well, I suppose our friendship with the Wonder Stuff is known over here, and Ned's Atomic Dustbin, who are bands from the same area, so we're still in touch. And then a band from back in the day called Censor, I don't know whether they ever came over to Australia, playing with those again in a couple of weeks over here in the UK.
Of course, you were signed to Nothing Records back in the day. I mean, how was it being part of that? Was that a good experience for you guys?
Yeah, it was great, really, because obviously we looked up to 9 Inch Nails, and we had some problems with our label in the UK, and as soon as we parted company with those, Trent was on the phone and wanted us to sign up with Nothing Records. And that was great, they didn't interfere in any way with the music, just said, go and make the record. And that was great. And then we did some tours with 9 Inch Nails. So yeah, it was great being a part of that.
I could imagine that would have been pretty chaotic, like back in that day, like right at that time. There was probably a lot of craziness. Is there one sort of story that you can remember from that time that sticks out to you?
It was called the Self-Destruction Tour, if I remember. Self-Destruction Tour. I remember getting thrown out of a club by Trent's bodyguard for jumping on him and not letting go and thinking he'd see the funny side of it. It was funny.
Oh, that's awesome. And of course, your last album was 2011's New Noise, designed by a sadist. Have you guys been working on a new album?
There's lots of stuff hanging around. I think we've got more than enough to do the next album. But I think we'll get these live dates out of the way, and then have a look at it when we've got a bit of a breather. And but yeah, I think there must be 20, 30 sort of tunes knocking around that we can do something with. So hopefully 2018 might be the year for the next one.
Oh, awesome. And I mean, when it comes to writing, I mean, because you've got that rock influence as well as the electronic side. I mean, where does it start? I mean, where do you sit down? Do you start with a riff, or do you usually start with, you know, the electronic side?
Yeah, I think because everything is done by computer, things are usually programmed in first, and then sort of the live instruments come out later. I mean, often you might program something in via the keys, which becomes a guitar part, but then I suppose sort of embellishments are things that, you know, probably come more naturally from the played instruments. So it's a combination of all things really, but generally things are started on computer and then passed around to each other and downloaded and files sent back and forth. That's the way it works these days.
Do you find that that's a lot easier than back in the day, or do you find that it helps with creativity, or do you think it hinders it a little bit doing it that way?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot cheaper because we used to have to spend like 6 weeks in the studio, and, you know, you'd have to buy the studio out for that period. I mean, it used to cost a lot of money, and we were bankrolled by the record labels, to be honest. And then that's money that you have to pay back, and which you might never end up paying back if you don't make your royalties from the record. Doing it this way now, you've also got lots of time. You know, there's no, you know, it's not like it has to be done in that 6 week period. You sort of carry on until you've got it right, and then when you've got it right, you play it to someone else, and then that's added, and it goes back and forth a bit, and it's only when you think you've got it absolutely spot on that, that's it. It's a finished track.
I guess it works for a family man like yourself as well. Makes life easy there too.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're not sort of like a full-time band anymore that spends all day, every day in the studio or touring. You know, people have got their own lives these days. So, yeah, you know, you can find you fit it in around everything else you're doing.
Definitely, I know those ones. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And well, in regards to any new material, will we get any previews on this tour coming up?
Not on this tour, no. I don't think it's going to be ready for that. But, well, who knows? I mean, there's still time yet. Possibly. I mean, if we can, we will. We'll shove something in. Maybe.
Never know, but it's going to be awesome, man. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be unreal. And of course, one question I've been asking of late is, what's the one thing from Australia that you might have missed? That, you know, what's the first thing you're going to do when you get off that plane? Are you going to treat yourself at something? Some people say Tim Tam, some people say Vegemite. What's your jam?
Just some good weather, I think.
Yeah.
That's what we missed the most. You know, some nice sun and beaches, and the good life.
It's not bad, man. I've got to say. I don't know. Did you come to the Gold Coast when you were here? Have you ever been to the Gold Coast?
Yes, yeah. Love it out there. Byron Bay was a particular favourite as well.
Pretty good, man. That's where I'm on the Gold Coast now, so it's can't complain, man. Have to, bring your boardies, come down for a surf and a beer. That's, what else are you going to do?
Yeah, I think we start out there, don't we? So
yep.
I think we're going to try and get a free day before the gig starts, and basically have a bit of beach action.
Awesome, man. Well, so thanks again for joining us on the show, and of course we'll see you on Thursday, 8th of March in Brisbane at the Triffid, which is an amazing venue.
Yeah, I can't wait. Thanks for having me.